and get to Memphis right now. The Tigers are back. They're legitimate. They got a road win today at Cincinnati, a team that gave them a little bit of problems in Memphis the first time around. Now they're trending to be in the tournament. Our bracketologists at the field of 68 have them in the last four in. They would be in Dayton at this point. Rob, do you see them as a threat to make a run out of that situation, kind of the way UCLA did last year?
I actually kind of do. I actually am back in on this Memphis team because it feels like they've gotten back to what they were when they won the NIT, which is we're going to grind you down defensively and we're going to do just enough on the offensive end of the floor to be able to win games. I think that they are more bought in at this point. It feels like everybody is fighting in the same direction. They've actually found a way to make Jalen Duren a really useful piece. I didn't realize this until I looked it up today. He's their leading scorer right now. I think DeAndre Williams is their best player and their most valuable piece. But I mean, Jalen Duren is leading them in scoring and rebounding and block shots. They've found a way to make him a very effective and useful piece. And that's important because it feels like everyone is kind of bought in on that group now. And like I said, they're winning the games that they're supposed to be winning the way that you want to see a Memphis team winning those games, which is kind of beating you up defensively, more or less, right? And RC, I want to ask you this. T.O. made this point on the podcast that I do with him on Monday, but he said that the fact that Penny has gotten this group to stay bought in, to stay the course, to keep fighting the way they've been fighting and keep trending in the right direction and turn this thing around. I know the AAC isn't great, but the fact that they are winning these games the way that they are winning them after everything that happened earlier this season, I think you got to give Penny a ton of credit for what they've done.
Oh, I mean, everybody that threw shade on him, you got to come back to him now and give him his flowers. I mean, he held in. You got to get it, but we also got to address the elephant in the room, right? I mean, let's not. All this is fine, but we can't just go over it. We got to address the elephant in the room. All right, is that the reason why?
Right? Tell them what the elephant is. Tell them what the elephant is.
Come on. Yeah, I mean, I'm just asking. I mean, we just kind of. I thought it was something intentional. Like y'all didn't say anything about it. There's a certain very highly touted freshman that's been out a few games that everyone knows about.
Yeah, so Amani Bates has not played for the last 6 games. He's missed 7 games for Memphis this season, and I got the stats for you. He's actually this is according to Evan Miyakawa, who runs evanmiya.com. He's our stats guru at the field of 68. And right now, the efficiency margins are plus 6.7 when it comes to having Memphis with Amani Bates in the lineup, the games that they played with him. And the games that they played without him, the efficiency margin is plus 15.2. For people that are kind of not analytically inclined, what that means is that they're 8.5 points per 100 possessions better without Amani Bates playing in games, which roughly equates to about 6.5 to 7 points in a normal college basketball game. They're 6.5 to 7 points better without Amani Bates than they are with him on the floor, which is a big difference when it comes to one player being on or off, which honestly, you can kind of see it with the eye test.
Yeah, that sounds crazy. The tricky part with Bates too is that those games that he's missed are directly lining up with the ones that DeAndre Williams has played. Those two haven't played a game together since December 14th. They basically alternated in and out of the lineup. And Williams, you go back to last year when he got eligible and the team made that huge run down the stretch. They won the NIT. He and Bates take the team in different directions. He's unselfish. He sets people up. He's a great defender. That's kind of not what you would describe Bates' game as. So, RC, do you think that they can continue this success if they get Bates back, or do we want this version of the Tigers going forward?
I mean, that's a legit question. I mean, I said it jokingly, but seriously, like Penny made the comment early on that the older guys wasn't messing with the younger guys. And is it ironic that now Amani's out and then they go on this run? So either way, if he comes back, how does that work? How are you going to run the offense? Like, is he going to buy in defensively? Because this team now is competing their ass on the defensive end that looks like a Penny team that led the country, that was top 5 in the country in defensive efficiency, for a couple of years in a row. So they're defending at a high level. listen, Armani's talented. No indictment on him. I don't want to, we're not sounding like we're bashing him, but the facts are the facts, and what's happening with that team right now, with him being out, they seem to have gelled together and winning some games.
Yeah, I don't necessarily blame him for any of this. I blame the people around him that thought that putting him in the situation that he was put into was going to be something that would succeed. I've made this point before. He is supposed to be a high school senior. He is a 17-year-old that has spent his entire life playing as a shoot first gunner, as a shoot first scorer. And now you're going to try to plug him in to a Memphis team that wants to win with their defense and ask him to be a starting point guard in the mold of Penny Hardaway when he's never done anything close to that his entire life. It's just you set the kid up for failure by putting him in that situation. And it's I feel for him. I honestly do feel for him because he's a guy that he's got a lot of pressure. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated when he was 14, being called the next Kevin Durant. And that's a lot for any 14-year-old. And one thing real quick, RC, we had someone comment. You said that it was the elephant in the room. He said Amani Bates is more like the stick figure in the room.
The hollow man in the room.
That's a good one. I like that.
Oh man. You mentioned giving Penny his flowers, RC. Do we almost have to look back at some of those press conference tactics of kind of calling out the veterans as almost a stroke of genius at this point? Because at that point, it seemed like insane to throw players under the bus. There's no way this is going to work, but they've rallied together. They've all kind of circled the wagons in that locker room, and it's almost like a successful tactic. We kind of have to tip the cap to them at this point.
You know what? I won't say that. I'll just say it worked. And what it says is the players didn't quit on them. And that's the most important thing, regardless of how the outside perception is, because there was so much going on, right? Rashid quietly went away because of the vaccination stuff, and there just wasn't any clarity on what was going on. Then you get all this polarizing, what's the word they used? It was a stick figure in the room. You get, Armani's no longer available, and he's a high profile guy. I mean, he was one of the faces of college basketball when the season started, and he's not there. So it looked like a mess. It looked like Memphis was imploding. So give Penny his due. I mean, it's credit to him to get this group, rally those guys back together, and that just means the team didn't quit on him, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, Byon has always been what he coached too. Like, he wasn't a guy that was reinventing the wheel offensively.
Right.
He's not like John Beilein out here scheming up different looks that people are not going to be expecting. Like, what he did was he coached up defense and he coached up effort and he got people to buy in and he had them play that way. And they were really, really good at it. At the end of last season, I know they didn't make the tournament, but I think when you went into Selection Sunday, anybody that didn't think that was one of the top 30 to 35 teams in America was crazy, right? They didn't have the profile to be able to get into March. You have to be able to win the games to be able to have the resume to get a bid to the tournament. So I don't think that they deserve to get in, but I think that they were good enough to be in. And I think we're going to be in the same situation this season. And the one thing that I am glad about is that they have that win at Houston right now. So they're always going to be able to say, we have this on our resume. This is what we can accomplish. I don't care if Memphis or if Houston was missing guys. They got that win that they needed.